Here's your news for December 25th, 2019. We're starting off this special Christmas Day edition of Slat Rock Wrestling by looking ahead to next month's Royal Rumble, as we're soon to find out who will face Universal Champion Bray Wyatt at the pay-per-view. On this week's SmackDown, Daniel Bryan, The Miz, and King Corbin will compete in a number one contenders triple threat, and with Corbin expected to carry on his feud with Roman Reigns, he's the least likely to face The Fiend. Another match expected to be announced for the show is Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch defending her title against Asuka, and the feud between these two goes back months, as the man has never been able to pin the Empress of Tomorrow, even losing to Asuka at the 2019 Rumble. Following the actions of Seth Rollins and AOP on this week's Raw, fans should expect to see the Beast Slayer take on Samoa Joe, though this, of course, depends on whether Joe has recovered from the thumb injury that's kept him on the shelf. If you keep watching Raw and SmackDown for the next month, expect some stars to start getting big pushes as we move towards the two titular Royal Rumble matches, and the event itself will take place next month on January 26th. Two superstars who have received airtime in the past few weeks on Raw are Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black, and that's all thanks to Raw Executive Director Paul Heyman. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that there are plans to make the Australian a big heel and the Dutchman a huge babyface, though that'll be easier said than done. Meltzer pointed out that history shows that many pushes have been derailed with younger guys, saying, "There's always the chance, no matter what the plan is, that it gets derailed. There's a pretty high percentage with new stars that things get derailed." This year, stars like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander received big pushes that quickly fizzled out. So hopefully things will be different for Black and Murphy, who won squash matches this week and will face each other next week on the final Raw of the decade. Next week's Raw will also feature the wedding ceremony between Lana and Bobby Lashley, meaning there are plenty of reasons for the fans to tune in. We're looking outside the company now as CBS Sports has unveiled their 2019 Wrestling Awards, which has seen the best of the best from the past year. NXT champion Adam Cole took home the coveted Wrestler of the Year award thanks to his incredible rise on the Gold brand, as well as leading the show during its move to being a 2-hour show and on the USA Network. When asked about winning the award, the Undisputed Era star said, "It's really cool when you think back on all the cool stuff that's gone on for me this year, and you reflect back on all the big matches and moments. To close it out with something like this and being announced the Wrestler of the Year, that's about as cool as it gets." Here are all the winners from the CBS Sports Wrestling Awards. Back to WWE now, and while this week's edition of Raw saw a sharp downturn in viewers, this was to be expected. After all, most fans will have been busy with their holiday preparation, and those fans who did want to find out what happened already had spoilers available, as the show was taped a week in advance. Sure enough, this week's Raw averaged 1.84 million viewers, down from last year's Christmas Eve show that did 1.78 million. In the breakdown, Hour 1 did 1.96 million, and this fell to 1.86 in Hour 2, before settling in at 1.69 in Hour 3. Though WWE expected something like this, Monday's NFL game on ESPN drew 13.57 million viewers, proving that the viewership is there to be had if the product is compelling enough. We'll have to see what next year's final Raw of the decade does for the company's ratings as the WWE prepares to enter the 2020s and hopefully a return to high viewing figures. Three men who know all about appearing on Raw are D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, and Mark Henry, and this week, the trio from the Nation of Domination enjoyed a meal together on the latest Table for Three. After sharing some backstage stories from their time in the group and Mark Henry's debut, they would later confirm a rumor that first began over 20 years ago. In 1997, it was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that there were plans to bring back Papa Shango, who The Godfather had played from the character's debut in 1992. It definitely would have been interesting to see the cartoony Shango as part of the Attitude Era, and during Table for Three, Charles Wright, the man behind both Shango and The Godfather, confirmed that there were plans for the Witch Doctor's return. Fan speculation at the time said that Shango would return with Paul Bearer as his manager and would be linked to the debut of Kane, but ultimately none of this came to pass. In the video, Wright said that Vince McMahon changed his mind and he would instead join the Nation as MMA fighter Kama Mustafa before morphing into the Godfather a few months later. Until this week, the rumor of a Shango return had never been confirmed by anyone in WWE, so it's good to see this 22-year-old rumor finally put to bed. We're looking at some John Cena news next, as though the 16-time world champion hasn't competed regularly in quite some time, Cena is still a big deal. This week, Hannibal TV sat down with former WWE superstar Gene Snitsky, who said that Cena isn't as serious as people think, saying, "He's actually pretty silly. He likes to goof around and have a good time. There's a lot of times where if we were at an airport or got stuck somewhere, we'd polish off a bottle of whiskey and goof around. A super nice guy." Though Snitsky may be a fan of Cena, the monster heel did reveal some injuries he received from Big Match John when he was asked about whether facing Cena in a lumberjack match was the biggest moment of his career. He said, "It depends on who you ask. It's cool wrestling John. I've wrestled him a bunch of times. He actually broke my ribs. He did that side slam out of the corner, and all 250 pounds came down right on my rib. I still have the little calcification on my ribs. I always joke around with people, 'Feel that?' They're like, 'Oh my god,' and I'm like, 'Yeah, John Cena did that. It's funny. John's a good guy.'" At nearly 50 years old, the possibility of a Snitsky in-ring return seems pretty slim, though there's no stopping the former superstar from returning backstage as a trainer for the next generation of superstars. Now, we all know that Stone Cold Steve Austin is a legendary wrestler and star of films and TV, but recently, the Texas Rattlesnake has added music videos to his IMDb profile. In the music video for Bad Bunny's Quien Tu Eres, Austin could be found around the 4-minute mark, and as he tells some bikers not to f**k with Bunny before delivering the stunner, it's clear the former WWF champion hasn't lost a step. This isn't the first time that Bunny, a longtime wrestling fan, has worked with a superstar, as Ric Flair appeared in Bad Bunny's Chambia music video in 2017, and we can't help but wonder who will appear in the Bunny's next video. From one legend of the ring to another now, as Matt Hardy recently ran a Twitter Q&A and got some interesting questions from the fans. When asked about how much longer he plans to compete, the Woken One said he has 3 to 4 years left, and he's already trying to help with the new generation of stars. It's been well documented that Matt's contract is slated to expire in early 2020, and while the former ECW champion has been used in quick squash matches on Raw, it seems Matt's at peace with his latest WWE tenure. This year has seen the WWE enter the podcasting world thanks to Corey Graves' After the Bell show and the New Day's Feel the Power, and it doesn't look like the company is stopping with just those two. The PW Insider is reporting that Alexa Bliss will soon get her own WWE podcast, and that the pilot for her currently unnamed show will be recorded in the next few weeks. In more podcast news, Triple H and Shawn Michaels will appear on this Thursday's After the Bell, as the pair of degenerates will have plenty to say with the savior of misbehavior. One thing the game and HBK probably don't want to talk about is WWE's falling attendance figures, and while things are bad, it's not their biggest slump ever. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer mentioned that WWE lost to the UFC this year in the battle to have more events with 10,000 fans, and this was the first time that this had happened. As Meltzer said, "This is nowhere close to the worst year for attendance numbers for WWE. The mid-90s were much, much worse than now, but it's the first time that UFC had more shows that did over 10,000 than WWE, and they almost doubled them." 2020 could be a very interesting year for WWE, as they are by no means closing down, and are making a ton of money from their TV contracts and Saudi Arabia to keep them afloat. WWE is also still offering huge contracts, but for now the live attendance numbers need some serious work. One feud that has had fans hooked in recent weeks is the beef between Lacey Evans and Sasha Banks, which has been made personal since they brought Evans' daughter into the situation. On Instagram, the boss said she was quite proud of herself in a video where she taunted the daughter of the sassy Southern belle, adding the caption, "I'm gonna be a great mom someday." The lady of WWE obviously didn't appreciate the post, and also didn't like the idea of Banks reproducing at all, saying, "You can barely handle this job without taking a break, sweetheart. Stick with a dog and don't reproduce. #legitmyass." 2019 has been a huge year for Lacey Evans, who debuted as a heel and competed for the Raw Women's title before turning face and moving to SmackDown. It's clear that there are many backstage who are a fan of the sassy Southern Belle, so fans should expect big things for the lady and her family in 2020. And we're ending with news of the WWE 24/7 Championship today, as Akira Tozawa briefly held the gold on this week's Raw when he pinned R-Truth. When Truth won back the title during Raw, these antics caught the attention of Drew Gulak, who took to Twitter to mock the 24/7 title and the constant title changes, sarcastically saying that Truth's latest title win will bring legitimacy and credibility to the 24/7 Championship. It's clear that the no-fun Gulak isn't a fan of the green title. Though Gulak may not be planning on going after the gold, the title has been received positively in recent months, and has been associated with Truth after being introduced to a mixed reaction by the crowd by Mick Foley in May this year. But what do you think of the 24/7 Championship? Do you agree with Gulak? And who do you want to see win the title next? Leave your comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.